Hello, my name is Hilary Cobb, and today I'm going to do a quick lesson about group work and effective group development in online courses. So, there are a couple learning objectives for this mini lesson. By the end of it, you should be able to describe at least two benefits of integrating group work into online courses. You also should be able to apply Walther and Bunz's 6 rules for successful group development to your own educational practice. So, why group work? A lot of times, educators and students alike get a little panicked when they hear the word group work or group project. But we know that group work is super valuable in online education. We've learned a lot this semester about the community of inquiry model. And one thing that we find is group work really hits all those key elements that are part of that framework. So, group work involves that social presence as students connect and get to know each other through the process. It helps with cognitive presence, especially if you use group projects that have students create projects that problem solve or have real life application. And it allows us as instructors to build that good teaching presence, both in how we structure the course and structure the project, but also in how we model and engage students to demonstrate kind of that engagement and collaboration skills that are needed for group work. So we know that when you have all three of these elements present, it can really lead to increased student outcomes and satisfaction in a course. There are lots of different types of group work projects that you can use in an online course. Things like group presentations, group compositions where they're working together to write something, role-playing activities, debates, discussion boards, and in this case, I'll talk primarily about group projects specifically, but all of them are great ways to use group work in your course. So, besides meeting kind of the community of inquiry framework benefits that increase satisfaction and outcomes in the class, there's a couple other benefits that research shows us about group work. The first is it allows students to have a real life application of skills. We know that today's students are often going to be able to collaborate, negotiate across disciplines, places, and time zones. And so, this allows them to practice those skills in a safe online educational environment. For example, I'm a social work educator, and I know that many of my students will go out and collaborate with the legal community or law enforcement or school administrators. And so being able to, work together to create outcomes or treatment plans or to be able to advocate for clients in a way that's respectful is super valuable for them. We also know that it helps students build kind of those other soft skills needed beyond just the content in the group project. There's a number of skills they need, typically how to communicate effectively and consistently. Things like how are you part of a team and what does being part of a team look like as far as workload and communication. And it allows students to really practice building that respect for distinct and diverse viewpoints. A lot of times students work differently at different paces and different ways, and this allows them to acknowledge that just because theirs is the way they do it doesn't mean that everybody does it that way. And being able to negotiate and get out of that final just do it myself mode is really valuable. So the soft skills are critical. Finally, it helps really expand thinking, right? As students work together and they're sharing their different viewpoints, they're growing and building something in problem solving. It really engages those higher order and critical thinking skills. So, as you are thinking about how to integrate group work into your course, you have to keep a couple of things in mind. It's larger than just the content and the structure of the group project itself. We're really trying to think about things like group formation and development among the students as well. And one thing we know is that research shows that group formation in online settings can be delayed or may need extra support. Unlike an in person classroom where I might look and say, you, and you're in a group together, get together, work, figure it out, exchange emails, and move forward. Online education is a lot more complicated. And so we really need to put a structure in place to help students be able to communicate and move forward. It's also valuable to know that sometimes our students may be new to online group projects, or maybe they're returning to school after a long time away. And so we need to make sure that we're really conveying the project and very intentional about how we structure it within the course. One framework that I really like to use is from Walther and Bunz. And in 2005, they used the social information processing theory to come up with these 6 rules or ingredients for effective group development in asynchronous online courses. So what they found is that rule 1 was connect immediately. A lot of times students will put off the production part of a group project. They'll delay, they don't communicate a lot at the beginning of the semester. And what Walther and Bunz note is then it kind of piles up at the end of the semester. And so being able to connect group members immediately, so if there is a delay where one student takes a week to respond to another, and then a third student takes another week beyond that, so that it's not getting pushed so far into the semester that they don't have time to work on things, we really want to make sure we connect immediately. So in my courses, by the end of week 1, they're already picking their group project topic. By week 2, they're assigned to their group. And by week 4, they are already communicating with their group members about the best ways to connect. The second rule was about communicating frequently. Research shows that when we communicate frequently in online education, it builds trust. And we want trust among our students. They have to be able to trust that their peers will get their part of the group project done, that they'll be able to read each other's posts. And so frequent communication and clear expectations is really important. One thing that I've done is I have them do a check-in post, and I'm very clear about what they need to share, how they should share it, and how many people they should respond to, because I really want to make sure, at least at the beginning of the semester, I'm creating that structure so they know how often to communicate and what that looks like. The third rule is about organizing and completing tasks simultaneously. So Walther and Bunz found that students have a tendency to spend a lot of time trying to structure the project itself and delegate and who's doing what, that they ended up pushing the actual group project work till the end of the semester. And so the idea of having students learn to begin to delegate, but also take ownership of what they're already going to start working on is valuable, so that they don't wait till the end. The fourth rule is about overt acknowledgement of peers' posts. We want to make sure that students respond. In an in-person class, it's obvious that your peers are listening to you during a group project discussion. It's harder in an online course. So as an instructor, making, rules or things like, make sure that you're responding to at least 3 peers' posts, or make sure that you're saying, I acknowledge this, or I see this, can help cut down on that did anyone see what I posted comments that we get from students. The fifth rule is that students should be very explicit about what they're thinking and doing. We can't assume that their peers know what's going on or that they're comfortable communicating that. I have a project where the students at mid-semester have to do a projected update and timeline. They talk about what's already been accomplished, exactly who has done what, and they have to create a plan moving forward for exactly who is doing what thing to make sure that it's very clear what each student is doing and what is done so far. And then finally, the importance of creation and adhering to deadlines. So our students, because we know there's such a delay when it comes to group work, it's really important for students to have a scaffolded approach where we have a large group project that's maybe chunked up into small bits due throughout the semester. At the beginning of my semester, all my students receive a separate document in addition to the syllabus that talks exactly about each section of the group project, what's due, when, and what the expectations are. So they're very clear about how to spread that out across the semester. So before we end, please just take a quick moment to reflect. How might you apply these rules for successful group development to group work in your own course? How would you structure assignments to maximize communication and make sure that students are clear about what they need to communicate about? How would you help them acknowledge their peers' post and go through that process? And how might you use a scaffolding approach to create and help students adhere to those specific deadlines throughout the semester? So thank you so much. I hope this was helpful.